Impact? Thank you for joining us for our last virtual service of 2021. That is crazy. Like 2020 came in like drop kicking us, like suplexing us. Just COVID came, changed everything, sort of wrecked all of our plans. I have so many friends who were trying to get married, had like a couple different wedding dates, ultimately maybe got married, but then couldn't do the honeymoon. 2020 was just a train wreck. And then 2021 came in. It's like a blink of an eye and it's behind us. We are in our last virtual service of 2021. And I want to give you a couple announcements as we go into 2022. So January 2nd of 2022 is our first service, and it's going to have new service times. So instead of 9:30 and 11 a.m. for our services, we're going to be meeting at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Still two services, but we're going to bump the first service back a little bit earlier to create some time for children's ministry to have some time to breathe, as well as create some connection in between the services so that you can have time to say hi to the people that came in before you or that are coming in after you. And so January 2nd, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Also on the 9th, we're going to have our starting point. Starting point is our chance to let you know more about who we are, how you can get involved. It's also, starting point is one of the things that our bylaws require if you want to be a member at Impact, which means you want to show up at the annual meeting that will happen in February. The way that you do that is to show up to starting point. If you've never done Starting Point, consider coming on January the 9th. It's super informal. It's just a chance for us to give you, the pastors show up to give you a little bit of our heart, some of the things we're most excited about at Impact, as well as answer any questions that you have. It's right after second service on January 9th, usually lasts about an hour. So consider coming to that. And then we will have an annual meeting coming up in February. So mark your calendars. I forget when it is. So how can you mark your calendars? You can't. Watch social media and I'll tell you when it is. Before I get into the message, so since we're going to have our Christmas Eve service on Friday, the day after Christmas, the 26th, I just decided to have an all worship weekend. So me and the band get the privilege, Nick and Justin are taking some time off, which means that I get the chance to grab a guitar and sing some songs, and I am stoked about that. So we're going to have an all worship weekend, sort of a post-Christmas after party where we just sing songs about Jesus. So for the virtual service this weekend, since I don't have a weekend message, I'm going to share with you the message that I'm really excited to share for Christmas Eve. And it's called The Wonders of His Love. So we're just going to have one song of worship before I give the message. I want to put joy to the world right here, give you the chance to settle into this song. And the end of this song is where I draw the title and the thought of the message, The Wonders of His Love. So let's worship together with joy to the world. And then I want to share a quick message with you. Thanks for joining us. I love you guys.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy.
it's been about maybe seven years ago, maybe even closer to 8 years ago now, that me and my family were down in San Diego. We took a trip down to Southern California, still kind of exploring California. We were new to living out here in the West Coast, and we were down in San Diego. There was like this boardwalk kind of pier area, all these food trucks, and there's some carnival rides and stuff. And one of the things that was there was this climbing wall. And my son, we'll say he was 11 at the time. He was 12 at the most, but he decided he wanted to try his hand at this climbing wall. And I don't know where he got that desire, because for me, I do not like heights. I have no desire to do any kind of zip lining. You could pull every dollar that you have available to you. In fact, our whole entire church could pull all of our money together, and you could pull it together and say, Dustin, if you will jump out of an airplane with a parachute and or bungee jump, we will give you all of this money that we pulled together. I would rather live poor. I would rather have none of those resources than risk jumping out of an airplane or bungee jumping. No desire whatsoever for any kind of heights. I just don't like it. But my son decided he wanted to try his hand at climbing the wall. And so clearly Jess and I rooted him on. And when it was his turn, he watched people do their thing where you climb the wall and then you let go and they gingerly let you down to the ground. And it was my son's turn. And I watched as my 11 or 12-year-old son scurried up the wall like super quickly. I was so proud of him. I'm like, Griffin, you got this. Good job, dude. He gets to the top, and the person down at the bottom, the worker, the one that's working the wall, looks up at my son, and he says, okay, just let go. And Tyler looked back down, and he said, no, I'm not letting go. So he said, no, it's okay. You can let go. I got you. And Tyler said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he starts to cry. There was already a long line. We waited in line for quite a while for Tyler to do this. And so what happened then is there was a horrible situation. The worker of the wall looked at me and said, Dad, you're going to have to go up there and get him. I told them, I said, this is crazy. You're not going to believe me. But right as you said that, I broke my leg just simultaneously. I pulled a hammy, and I'm not going to be able to go up there. Cramps set in, and so I couldn't go up there. Babe, honey, sweetie, maybe you want to climb the wall. But ultimately, I ended up having to climb the wall. I didn't have that broken leg. There was no pulled hammy or cramps. I was just scared of the wall. But my son was up there, and the line was backing up, so I acted like I wasn't scared, and I climbed up the wall, but I was scared to death, and I get up to the top. I get up there pretty quickly, surprisingly quickly, actually, and I panicked like my son did, and the person said, Dad, you're going to have to let go, and we'll let you down. And I said, no, I didn't say that, but I felt like saying that, but I was there with my son, so I had to make sure that he knew that it was going to be okay. So I said to my son, hey bro, you hold on to Dad. You grab me, I'll let go, and I'll make sure we get down safe. And Tyler, of course, said, Dad, don't drop me. And I said, I won't drop you, buddy. You hold on to me, and I'll let go, and we'll get down there. So Tyler held on to me. On the count of 3, I let go, and they got us down safely. You know, it's interesting. Everybody was, there's a long line, and people were like high-fiving, like, good job, Dad. That's a good thing. Well, I ended up telling them, excuse me, I need to go change my pants. Excuse me, pardon me. But they were saying, great job, Dad. Great job. Why were they saying great job, Dad? Because that's kind of what a dad's supposed to do, right? Like, a dad is the one that's in the water, and there's a kid on the side of the pool, and he's like, come on, I got you. You got to catch me, Dad. I got you. I'll catch you. And they jump, and the dad catches him. That's me, and my daughter did that. Like me and Madison, all through her life, we just kind of had this thing where she said that Dad was the one who helped her overcome her fears. When she didn't want to ride the ride, I'd ride with her. When she didn't want to go do this thing, I would do it with her. And that's what dads do. Like, dads throw their kids up in the air, and the kids know they're going to catch them, so they're way too high, and the mom's probably freaking out, but the dad's got the kid in the air, and the kid's just giggling and laughing, never imagining the idea that the dad's not going to catch the kid, because the dad has to catch the kid. That's what dads do. And so everyone was saying, great job, Dad, because I was doing what dads are supposed to do, and that is make sure that they get to where their kids are, and make sure that they say, hold on to me, I'll do the work, I'll make the jump, I'll do the hard thing, you just hold on to me. It reminds me of the story of our Heavenly Father. who knew we were stuck, knew we couldn't do it on our own, knew we had no way to get to where he was. So he made his way to us, and the wonders of God's love was demonstrated in God getting to where we are. And he said, hold on to me and we'll get through this together. Hold on to me and you'll be okay. That's the wonders of our dad's love. One of the names of Jesus we read about early on in the story is he's Emmanuel, which means God with us, that God put skin on and he came to where we are. And through the person of Jesus, he said, hold on to me. Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through me. So Jesus said, hold on to me. And if you hold on to me, I'll get you safely to your Father. And so the wonder of God's love is demonstrated in his ability to just get to where we are. The wonders of God's love is, we're just, for you watching this on December 26th or thereafter, like the word wonder is so attached to the reality of the spirit of Christmas, right? Like it's like a childlike wonder. It makes me think about when I was a kid and I would approach Christmas. I think about being like 9 or 11 years old, and I wanted to go to everybody's house. I mean, I wanted to go to that second cousin twice removed house, because every house I went to, someone there had a gift for me. If we were going there for Christmas, no matter who it was, they had a gift for me. I wanted to go to all the houses because every house had some kind of a gift for me. I think of one specific Christmas. My favorite place to go when I was a kid every Christmas was my grandpa and grandma's house. My dad's mom and dad. There was a huge family. And I typically got something from every aunt, every uncle, some of the cousins got me something. Mama and Papa got me something. There was just so many gifts at my grandparents' house. And so one year specifically, when I was like 11 years old, I couldn't wait because I caught word that my grandparents were going to get me a Nintendo. Like, my family was kind of poor. We couldn't have afforded things like that. But I heard that my grandma and grandpa were getting me a Nintendo. And so I couldn't sleep in the days before getting to their house. And every Christmas Eve, the whole family would get together and we would, while everybody was eating, all the grandkids would be in there trying to take inventory of what might be their gifts. And I remember seeing a box from Mama and Papa that it could have been a Nintendo. And so my grandpa played Santa. And so one by one, he dished out the gifts. I remember it took extra long that year, and every time someone would get a gift, I'm like, let's go, I gotta get to my gift. And eventually it was my turn to open that gift, and I opened it up, and it was a Nintendo. It was everything I wanted it to be. The original Nintendo, the Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt Nintendo. Later on I got Contra, and if you played Contra, then you know up, down, left, right, B, A, start. If you know, you know. But the Nintendo changed everything. I was so excited for Christmas. Now I'm 40 years old, I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and Christmas is the exact same. It falls on December 25th. Christmas Eve falls on December 24th every single year. We sing the same songs. Some of us are putting up the same lights. Christmas has been the same, but I'm not the same. Christmas is the same, but I've changed. Now my wife and I don't just go to people's houses stoked to get things because we get things everywhere we go. Now for us, it's about making sure we have enough things for everyone else. And we have to preemptively strike on some of those gifts because we can't get there and them have gotten us a gift and us not have a gift to give. So we have to make sure we have a gift to give every time we get a gift. And we don't like that family member quite as much. So we don't want to get too over the top of a gift, just enough of a gift so that we got them something. And you know how it works. We're trying to make sure that we spent about the same on each kid, and we got to make sure we can pay the credit card bill off when it comes at the end of the month. And so Christmas is way different now. Well, not really, right? I'm just different now, and our season of life is different now. The wonder of Christmas is the same, but for me it's different because I'm different. And today I want to talk to you about the wonder of God's love. A love that is the same yesterday, today, and forever. A love that never ever changes. A character about God that could never ever change. But sometimes you and I change. Every year we watch The Elf together, like Buddy the Elf, Will Ferrell movie, like modern day classic. And every year when we watch it, there's the climax of the scene where the Santa and the sleigh and Buddy the Elf are trying to get the sleigh to take off in Central Park, and the Central Park Rangers, like the Central Park horse cops are chasing after Santa and Buddy and trying to get the sleigh off the ground. And the climax of the entire movie happens when Buddy the Elf's dad finally begins to sing. Buddy the Elf's little brother says, "Dad, you're not singing, you're just mouthing the words." And initially the dad is just like, what's the difference? Remember, the dad sort of lost the spirit of Christmas and was wrapped up and wasn't really engaging the family the way he wished he would have. Ultimately, at the end of the movie, he realized he had put way too much stock in his job and not enough investment into his family. And there's this moment where all of a sudden he begins to sing, and the spirit-o-meter, the claus-o-meter that's symbolizing the spirit of Christmas, finally pegs, and then the sleigh can take off. Christmas was the same. But the dad needed to be reminded about the spirit of Christmas so that the meaning of Christmas could take off in the city. And in the same way, the wonder of his love doesn't change, but our ability to how we engage the wonder of his love, how we recognize the wonder of his love, that can many times change. I wonder, where's your wonder meter today? Where is that wonder meter for you? Are you bored by it and over it? Maybe your priorities have changed things. And I hope that maybe today we can, through a few moments together, I can encourage you, maybe even challenge you and inspire you to dig deeper into the wonder of his love, so that maybe you could engage his love with a fresh excitement and a fresh sense of just realization and wonder and awe for what Jesus has done for you. The word wonder, a quick, just Google search for the definition, it's a noun. I think this is what the songwriter that wrote Joy to the World was saying when he said the wonders of his love, the wonders of his love, the wonders of his love. It's a noun. It's a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration, caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. I think that's what the songwriter was saying. That God's love is so wonderful, so unexplainable. Just, you're so captivated by it that we're just lost in the wonders of his love. That his love is so deserving of just to be almost just stuck in awe and like, wow, how could you love me like this? How could you choose me like this? How could you leave heaven and put this skin on and experience pain and experience tears and heartbreak because you wanted to know me? That's the wonders of his love. There's a character in the Bible, my favorite character, and there's a moment when this character, David, when he experiences the wonder of knowing God. And in Psalm chapter 8, verse 3 and 4, David says, when I look at the night sky and I see the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you set in place, what are mere mortals that you should think about them? Human beings that you should care for them. In this moment, David's just mesmerized. God, I'm looking around, I'm seeing all these wonderful things that you've done, all these wonderful things that you created. I look at the night sky and I just think how incredible that you are. And David goes, it makes me just, how do you care about me? It's as if David is just lost in the wonder of God's love for him, that God would care about David. In the midst of having to sustain all of these things, David is feeling this sense of awe and wonder, just mesmerized that God would care about him. But interestingly enough, when you just Google the word wonder definition and Google gives you that first initial definition, it's a noun, which is that's the state of being, the emotion, the response to it. That's the noun, but there's also two verbs, and we know a verb. I love grammar. I've always loved writing classes. I loved English. I love anything. You could probably know that I send the longest emails and have long messages because I love words. I love writing songs. I love poetry. I think that using language and finding the best word to say exactly what you're trying to say. So I love grammar, and a verb is an action word. It denotes this idea that you are doing something. You're actively engaged in something. So the first definition of wonder is a noun. That it's a state of being just mesmerized by this thing that's beautiful and unexplainable, completely inexplicable. But there's two verbs. The first verb is to discover more about something, curiously interested in deeper investigation. There's the same Bible character, David, in Psalm chapter 25, verse 4 and 5 says, direct me, Yahweh, throughout my journey so I can experience your plans for my life. See this active journey that he's on. He says, reveal the life paths that are pleasing to you. In verse 5, escort me into your truth. Take me by the hand and teach me more. For you are the God of my salvation. I have wrapped my heart into yours all day long. You see, all those active words that the being lost in the wonder of God's love is this active, ongoing journey that we're on. And And David says, I want to be actively lost and pursuing the wonders of your love. I want to continue investigating and more deeply exploring the wonders of your love. I shared, it's been quite a while ago now, but I remember sharing a truth that I discovered, that NASA spends over $8 billion every single year to discover more about space. They spend over $8 billion in space exploration every year. Now, I mean, do a quick internet search. Just Google Hubble telescope images. We have seen some absolutely breathtaking images because of a space exploration that NASA has already done. Because of satellites that are already poised to capture images of distant stars and galaxies and planets and moons and suns. We've already seen so much, but NASA sets the bar for us as if NASA is going to spend $8 billion to discover space, family, you and I get the invitation to continue to explore the one who created the space. So NASA wants to know the handiwork of a God that we're invited to know, that knows us by name, that knows the very hairs on our head. Psalm 139 reminds us that He knew us while we were being formed in our mom's womb. He knew us. He knows everything about us. All of our days are laid out before Him, and we are invited to continue into the wonder of God's love, to explore more and more and more about the wonder of God's love. And if NASA is going to spend $8 billion to know the handiwork of God, it stands to reason that you and I should continue to get lost in the wonder and amazement, the exploration, as the verb says, discover more about something, to be curiously interested in deeper investigation about who God is and how His love has changed us and is changing us, actively and daily being lost in the wonder of His love, being lost in the wonder of discovery, to know more and more about God. But there's another verb. The other verb is also the word wonder. It's to feel doubt. Imagine, for instance, you're at this wedding and the person officiating the wedding says, however that they say it, is there anyone here that thinks this wedding should happen? Speak now, if forever hold your peace. Anybody here that thinks this is going to crash and burn? Speak now, or forever hold your peace. I've never been at a wedding where that's happened, but I don't wish this on anybody, because it would make the bride and groom feel very uncomfortable. There's just this evil part of me that actually would love to be around and see somebody do that and be like, oh snap, that whole moment, that'd be pretty epic. But maybe no one stood up, but maybe there was somebody, maybe you've been to a wedding and you showed up, you even got a gift for them, and you even raised a glass and toasted at the reception. But as the bride and groom are getting married, maybe you leaned over to your spouse and you said, I wonder if this is going to work. I wonder if this is really going to pan out. They had some problems. I wonder how this is going to go. To wonder sometimes is to just express doubt. Like, I wonder if this job opportunity is going to come through. I wonder if our finances are going to hold out through the end of the month. I wonder if that apology that I just got from my spouse for doing that thing for the 100th time, I wonder, do they really mean it, or are they just trying to skirt getting into trouble? I wonder. It denotes this doubt, this fear of it being what it's supposed to be, that it'll actually measure up to what it says it's going to be. I wonder. And in the same passage of scripture, or the same character, David, he says in Psalms chapter 13 in the first 5 verses, this is David, the same David that looked at the night sky and said, who am I, God? You're that good. The same David that said, God, I'm going to actively be exploring you. Take me deeper into knowing you. This is the same David who now in Psalm 13 says, I'm hurting, Lord. Will you forget me forever? How much longer, Lord, will you look the other way when I'm in need? How much longer must I cling to this constant grief? I've endured this shaking of my soul. So how much longer will my enemy have the upper hand? Take a good look, Yahweh, my God, and answer me. Breathe your life into my spirit. Bring light to my eyes. Bring light to my eyes in this pitch black darkness, or I will sleep the sleep of death. I have always trusted in your love. So answer me. The same David that was talking about more deeply discovering God's love and deeply wondering with curiosity into the depths of God's plan for his life. The same David that said, oh God, how could you possibly know me? You're so great. You're so vast, and yet you love me, is now saying, God, I wonder, are you even remembering me? God, I wonder, do you even know me? God, I wonder when you're going to actually answer me, when you're going to show up, when you're going to recognize what I'm going through. And friends, that's a part of the wonder of God's love sometimes as well. That's the moment when we are allowed to hope that God comes through. That's the purpose of why Jesus came. You see, my son, when he was hanging up there and holding on for dear life, afraid to let go, wondered if this thing would hold up. With the person down there, he wondered, would they lower him to the ground, or would he hit the ground at 100 miles an hour? Even after I got there to him, he wondered if he held on to me, would I hold on to him, and could he get to the ground safely at all? It was just a little bit overwhelming. And so it is sometimes with the journey of discovering God, that we are allowed, part of the wonder in his love is saying, God, I wondered, can you use me? God, I wonder, could you forgive me? God, I wonder if in spite of all the things that I've done and seen and said, and the fact that I've said I'm sorry so many times, I wonder, could your love show up for me? Because like going to that wedding and raising that glass and toasting, you're not going to jump up and denounce the wedding altogether, but you're allowed to bring your doubts and to just cross your fingers and hope. And sometimes when the wonder of God's love is ahead of us, part of that wonder, I believe, is allowed to be, God, can you still do what you promised you do? Could you come through the way you promised you would come through? That sometimes is the wonder of God's love. And just like my boy stuck up top, I said, hold on to me, and I'm gonna make sure we get to the ground safely. Tyler wasn't willing to trust the ropes. He wasn't willing to trust the person underneath, but he was willing to throw his arms around his daddy and to say, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I trust you to get me to the ground safely. And that's the reason that Jesus came to earth. That's the reason that Emmanuel, God with us, came. It's because it's the invitation to say, I know that everything around you is confusing. I know everything around you is a bit shaky. Maybe your relationships or your finances or your health, all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of questions, and you're rightfully so looking at it going, I wonder if this stuff will really hold together. And then Jesus comes and he says, if you will hold on to me, I'll make sure to get you through this safely. Remember Psalm 23, even if I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. The invitation for you and I today is to wrap our arms around a Savior that says, if you hold on to me, I'll make sure we get through this safely. The wonder of his love. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 14 through 19. I'll read this and then we'll be done. It says, when I think of all of this, I fall on my knees and I pray to the Father, the creator of everything in heaven and on earth. I pray that from his glorious, unlimited resources, he will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. Then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust in him. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand, as all God's people should, how wide, how long, how high, how deep his love is. May you experience the love of Jesus Christ, though it is too great to understand fully. Then you will be made complete with all the fullness of life and the power that comes from God. The wonders of his love. Joy to the world, the Lord has come, let heaven and earth rejoice. Or you're rejoicing in the wonders of God's love together. Father, I pray for the one listening now, the one watching now, God, that you would even now, whether they are, we see three different postures in the life of David. One, he's just looking up at the sky, wondering how in the world you could invite him into such an incredible narrative, to be known by a God that holds the cosmos in the palm of your hand, and yet you invite us to know you and to be known by you. Later on, we see David saying, God, I want to just dig deeper into knowing you. Lead me down deeper into knowing you and discovering you, God. This active, continual investigation of knowing more and more about the wonders of your love. And sometimes the wonder of your love is this question mark. Will this stuff hold me up? Will this crisis that I'm in, will I crumble? Will you carry me through this? And Father, there are some times that we wonder, will your love really sustain us? And Father, those you don't see those as slaps in your face, and you don't receive those, and you don't respond to us. How could you doubt me? God, you say, no, That's the invitation for you to step into the doubt and to say, yes, child, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can meet you there. And so though we say, I wonder if your love could be good, you over and over and over and over again just captivate us with reminders of your goodness and your faithfulness, a faithfulness that will never fail us, God. And so we find ourselves over and over again just captivated by the wonders of your love. Thank you for your love. Father, thank you for sending Jesus, Emmanuel, our Father, with us, because you wanted to get to where we were and to get us safely to eternity forever with you. We praise you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Happy New Year, family.